And 14-year-old, some brothers are in custody after police say they shot up a birthday party.
But all the people you're trying to impress, guess what? Ain't none of them where you're sitting right now.
That's the judge that they appeared before who told them she sees too many young people with guns running and ruining their lives. John 2's Tom Jones is live in Clayton County. Tom, that judge seemed disturbed, to say the least, over how the young defendants, how young they are.
Yeah, that's true, Karen. Judge Latrivia Case Johnson said the brothers look like babies. She told them that she has children their age. She wanted to know, why is it that so many young men are so willing to pick up a gun and shoot someone?
How old are you, Dwayne?
14.
How old are you, Major?
13.
Clayton County Magistrate Court Judge Latrivia Case Johnson was blown away that 13 and 14-year-old brothers are accused of shooting up a birthday party, wounding a minor. This is video from that night.
I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
We are showing the teens because they are being tried as adults. Police say 13-year-old Major Tolbert and 14-year-old Dwayne Tolbert were kicked out of the party on Pebble Ridge Lane in January because they weren't invited. There was a fight. The judge said one or both of the brothers started firing.
And then posted it on Instagram, what you had done.
One of the teens tried to explain what happened.
You said about the uninvited part. We was invited. That was our cousin party.
The judge eventually cut him off to prevent him from incriminating himself. She told the teens she sees too many young people ruining their lives with guns.
Y'all didn't look at the YSL trial?
Yes, ma'am.
This is no joke when you're out here shooting guns.
The judge said these are only allegations at this point, but she said the brothers' lives are about to change.
You will eat when told to eat. You will sleep when told to sleep.
She wished them well and told them she hopes they can help change other teens who find themselves in trouble.
Maybe you have to be a voice for other juveniles.
And the judge denied bond for the brothers. They face several charges, including aggravated assault, child cruelty, possession of a firearm. A woman who lives near that party says her home was hit with several bullets and someone in her home could have been killed, except they were upstairs. We're live in Clayton County in Jonesboro. Tom Jones, Channel 2 Action News.
All right, so this case is sort of going viral because we have footage of the mother of these two gentlemen coming forward and pleading with the media and the public at large to please step in on behalf of her sons and stop this. She is calling this an injustice to her children, that both of her sons were, for one, their faces were shown and they were put on trial. For two, they had a mediation without her present. Let me say a couple things before we get to her response and what she had to say about this. Their bond was denied, and as it should be. You understand how dangerous it is that only one person was wounded and shot in the leg, and that person is said to survive. But when you open fire on a group of people and bullets start flying every which way, these bullets ain't got no names on them. No names on them whatsoever. But then these two are so stupid that at 13 years old, I wasn't this stupid. At 14 years old, I wasn't this stupid. You know what I was doing at 13 years old, y'all? At 13 years old, I was still playing with action figures. No lie, I kid you not. At 13 years old, I was still playing with action figures. It was not even in my mind to be running around at a party with a gun. It was not even on my mind to even hold a gun. For what? I didn't need one. I was a kid. I was still enjoying my adolescence. I was still running around my neighborhood, riding my bike to the corner store to get candy with my friends. I was still hanging out with my little cousins, and we were still having parties in my room, building forts and shit at 13. What are these kids doing out at a party at 13 and 14 years old anyway, without supervision being there? At 13 and 14 years old, what are you doing without being at a party unsupervised? Please tell me that. You know what? My youngest son, my middle boy just turned 14. You know what he was doing at 13 years old? Still asking me for goddamn Robux. Still asking me for points for his PS5. Still hanging out. Yeah, he had outings with his bowling league friends. Guess what? It was a supervised party with multiple adults there, present. Multiple adults there, present. At 13, 14 years old, I was not running around toting a gun, popping off in crowds, trying to look cool, and then turn around and bragging about it on Instagram. I just had this conversation with my homies the other day, talking about how Instagram and media, and more so media overall, has just ruined. It's robbed these kids of their childhood. It's robbed the media, internet, the technology that we have available at our fingertips now has unfortunately robbed these kids of their imagination and their childhood. I just had this conversation with my homies 2 nights ago when we went out. And we had this discussion talking about how it used to be back in the 80s and 90s. Shit is way different now. These kids are running around here unsupervised, and they are literally tormenting the community. With a gun at 13 years old, you're not even smart enough to understand how the world works and what the byproduct is going to be as far as the consequences go of you running around with a goddamn gun. The judge just told him, and she was real with him, and I bless her heart, because she needs to be. You gonna sleep when we tell you to sleep. You gonna eat when we give you food. You gonna eat that good goulash. And you better hope that you ain't got a predator in the cell with you. You better hope that you ain't got a predator in the cell with you. These kids are being charged as adults, by the way. As they should. As they should. Let's get to what the mama had to say, because now we're going to find out what the real problem is and where all this stemmed from in the first goddamn place. I'm going to show you exactly why these boys are the way they are. Y'all bragging about shooting up a party on social media. How dumb. You can't get no dumber than that. At 13 years old, I definitely have more common sense than that. But let's get to it.
As a mother, I never imagined I would be writing a plea like this. But today I speak out not only for my children, but for every child whose rights and dignity continues to be violated by a system that claims to protect them. My 2 teenage children, both minors, have recently been wrongfully accused of a series of serious charges. These allegations alone are traumatic enough for any family to face, but what followed has made this ordeal even more devastating. Despite being minors, my children's name, faces, and court hearing footage were broadcast on Channel 2 News, where millions could see. Their identity was exposed to the public, their reputations tarnished, and their safety jeopardized, all based on unproven allegations. I was not even notified or present for the court hearing that was shown on the news. There was no regard for their rights as children, no attempt to as a mother.
You wasn't present for their court hearing, just like you wasn't present when they was at this party and they had no business being. Wowzers. You weren't present at the court hearing, just like you ain't been present in their lives, apparently, to make sure that they don't get off into nothing that they ain't had no business getting off into. You wasn't at the court hearing, just like you wasn't there to make sure that they wasn't running around toting a gun, shooting up parties. I see the symmetry.
Their dignity and no consideration for their lasting mental and social damage this kind of exposure creates.
Do y'all hear? I'm sorry, I gotta pause it again. It was my intent to let this entire thing play, but I gotta stop. Do you hear the whataboutism? Do you hear the neglect of accountability? Do you hear it? Right? It's no wonder these boys are the way they are. The mama sitting up here talking about, y'all ain't thinking about their mental health. Y'all ain't thinking about the trauma that it's going to cause them.
Shut up, bitch!
What about the trauma that they caused the whole party shooting it up? Now she talking about alleged. Neither one of them boys as they was sitting there said that they ain't do it. Neither one of them said that they ain't do it. Neither one of them said that they wasn't there, that y'all got the wrong person. And then if that was the case, if they didn't do nothing, they were so innocent, then why would they make an Instagram post bragging about doing it then? How do you refute that? The lack of accountability is it's not even mind-boggling. It is goddamn downright depressing, y'all. It's depressing. It's depressing. These kids is cooked, man.
Our children are being criminalized and dehumanized before they've even had a fair chance to be heard. It's not just about my family. This is about a pattern of systematic failure where our youth are treated as criminals before being treated as children, where media exaggerates instead of protects, and where parents are left out of processes meant to shield and support minors, not exploit them. We demand an immediate investigation into the unlawful exposure of my children's identity on the media, accountability from the news outlet and officials involved.
Now, you want accountability from news outlets and you want to demand some shit. You want to demand accountability and demand investigations to be taken out on your kids. But you weren't demanding that your sons do better. You weren't demanding that your sons have character. You weren't demanding that your sons not be caught up in shooting up parties and shit, running around with guns. You ain't demand none of that from them. But now you want to demand the media to do something. This shit is insane, bro.
A review and dismissal of these baseless charges if due process and rights were violated. To everyone reading this, help us share their story. Help us fight for our children, not just my children. Their dignity. Every local advocacy group, speak out on social media, demand that the system meant to protect minors start doing exactly that. Because if we stay silent now, who will speak out for our children tomorrow?
You were supposed to speak out for them. How about that? How about instead of relying on the system to protect your kids, you do your job as a parent and protect them? How about that? How about you protect your children by your actions and by your tutelage and by mentoring them as their mother and making sure that they're not running around at parties with guns? How about you do that? Why you got to make sure that everybody else do it? Why is it our responsibility? Why is it the media's responsibility? Why is it the court system's responsibility to make sure that your sons don't grow up and be menaces to the community? What the fuck are we talking about here? Man, listen, bro. I don't know how much more of this I could take.
I am a mother demanding for justice. I know my kids, and they have a lot of loved ones. They have a lot of friends and family members that love them, and they know that this is not my children, and they did not do what they are accused of doing. Yeah, y'all have been speaking on me and my character, my kids, and my parenting.
I wonder why.
And don't even know the half of it. But, you know, I keep saying to myself, like, I stay on my kids, but this is just a lesson to be learned. Like, they were around a crowd of people, and every local advocacy group speak out, and they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's all it was. They were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I just ask for y'all to just...
When they should have been in the goddamn house, right? When they should have been at the house. How they end up at the wrong place at the wrong time? When you was watching them, when you was staying on them. How you staying on them yet they in the wrong place at the wrong time? Some ain't adding up. Somebody lying. Somebody lying. She talking about we judging her character, we judging her as a parent. You goddamn right. You sitting up here reading at a 3rd grade level from something that you done wrote on your phone and asking everybody else to take responsibility for something that you should have did as their parent.
Please come and help, and don't feed into all of the negativity that everybody is putting out against my boys, because they don't know the truth. They can't know the truth. What's the name of that page that they shared? The neighborhood talk. Share the live because this is real life. This is real life. Do not sit up there and say that my children was the ones who had a gun and y'all never seen them with a gun. Y'all don't have video footage of them with a gun. Hey, shh. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. And I'm not trying to get emotional or anything like that. I'm telling y'all, when they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. When you speak on this case, speak on facts. Speak on facts. That's all I'm going to say because I can't really say too much. But I did let y'all know a little bit of that much. But I'm telling y'all, speak on facts. Y'all don't have facts. So y'all cannot keep saying anything about me as a mother or my kids as young youth or young adults. Like they're not even young adults, yet young men. Like let's be for real. Like y'all don't even know what happened. All of y'all are seeing is what the news put out.
Let's speak on facts then. Let's speak on the facts that your sons, your 13-year-old and your 14-year-old, made a media post and then posted it on Instagram, laughing about how they had shot up a party. That's a fact. That's a fact that we can speak on. You notice that she shies away from that, though. She don't mention that nowhere in this whole long soliloquy that she's sitting there. She don't mention that nowhere in her entire speech that she wrote down on her phone. It's written nowhere. None of them facts come up, right? All right.
And those are allegations. Those are allegations, baby. Those are allegations. If I post the whole court hearing that was said today, all of y'all mouth will be dropped. Because y'all will be like, how they still locked up? How they still locked up? So when you speak on this case, people in to help these young men. I'm a single parent of 5 kids.
Damn.
I'm not asking for too much of anything, but for this system not to drag my kids and put my kids in the system and make them out to be a lesson to be learned for this new law that does not go in effect until July. They are trying to make them as an example for this new law that doesn't go into effect until July of this year. And in January, they were minors and still are minors. So, yeah, please come together and y'all please just help with these kids like that didn't do anything.
Some brothers are.
Now she want us to come together. She want us to come together. She want us to come together and help with the kids. She want us to come together with the kids and do something. Single mother of 5, she said. Single mother of 5. Man, bro, you can't write this script. You can't even write it. Kevin Samuels somewhere turning in his goddamn grave. You cannot write this script. Single mother of 5. 5 kids that has no father in sight nowhere. You made the same mistake 5 separate times. What y'all want me to say? What y'all want me to say? You sitting up here wondering why they plastering your kids' faces all over the news, why they showing their mediation, why they showing their faces to the media, and why is it okay for minors to be shown and their pictures and shown? Because they're being charged as adults, ma'am. That's why. When your kid is charged as an adult, all that other shit go out the window. The fact that they minors no longer matters. They're not going to be treated as minors going forward in the court system. They will try them as adults. That is why their faces are now public. But you don't know nothing. All that facts, all the facts. You didn't check them facts. Yo. It is what it is at this point. Peace be unto those boys. They're going to need a lot of help going forward. Unfortunately, they have been failed by their mother and their parents as a whole. And I hope that one day one day they can somehow make a turnaround and turn the situation in their lives around and have some sort of future going forward. But I tell you what, with parents like this that don't even hold them responsible for the things that they do out here and the crimes that they commit and the way that they torment people, I'm not expecting much. Drop a comment. I'll holler at y'all later.